Well, Kyle, I have a lot of lingering thoughts. Do you ever stop and think about the day-to-day consequences of turning living beings into your own personal shrubbery?
Right, how far did this go? And how hard can I ship the Exarch and Y'shtola? Because clearly he's apologizing to her.
And clearly he's a cat man, because I know how to look at jawlines even when there's a hood and a tail and ears are hidden.
Rival Catman enters the scene.
And can you ship characters that you might romance yourself with as a BioWare game? How does that inject itself into your brain when you want to do it? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can't.
What?
Huh?
What? What?
Huh? Is it gone?
That was some Lorena McKenna shit there.
Should we talk quiet? I'm afraid to disturb the Lahis.
Surely the scenes will adjust. There's no reason why that song would start full blast after an important moment from here on out. No reason.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't expect one of the biggest lore bomb drops in the game so far to be followed up with the most intrusive track ever heard in a video game.
It's delightful. I'm actually a really big fan of the Highwayman, all this kind of style of music. But man, abrasive inside the game. Wow.
If you haven't gotten the clue already, we are continuing our first ever playthrough of the Final Fantasy XIV MSQ. We are continuing our playthrough of Shadowbringers, and obviously, we are in... Would you shut up for 1 minute? What I'm trying to say, dear viewers, is that we made it to the Rak'tika Greatwood.
We're in the Rak'tika Greatwood!
Make it stop! But hey, before we get into the meat of it, do you want more Grinding Gear? We know you're subbed to the channel. You gotta be. You're watching the video. You wouldn't be watching if you weren't subbed, right? You better be subbed, seriously.
You are subbed, right?
But did you know that we have 2 other channels and a podcast? Check out our Clips channel over at Grinding Gear Clips, as well as our Stream VOD channel. If you want VODs right away, yeah, we have the super secret playlist down below where they go immediately and it's got the chat for you. But if you want public VODs that you can share with friends, we have a dedicated channel for our Stream VODs. So go check that out. And of course, get the Grinding Gear podcast wherever it is you get your podcasts. It's on Apple, it's on Google, it's on Spotify. Me, I'm a Pocket Cast fan. And for even more extra content, check out our Patreon by visiting supportourbromance.com. Thanks for the support. So we left off. We were done in Fairyland, and we're off to go find the best character in Final Fantasy XIV. Actually, we're not meeting Tataru, but we are off to meet Y'shtola.
Time to reunite with Y'shtola, and the Exarch seems to have done some wrong in the past. Perhaps it was wrongfully summoning her, perhaps not being able to put her back on the source. He's got an apology gift in mind.
You have visited her, have you not? Might I trouble you to...
Yabby Jaws. It's all Yabby Jaws again. Gotta
There's
find the tablet.
There's a lot of Yabby Jaws. There's a lot of Yabby Jaws.
It's a decent mechanic.
No, it isn't.
It's harder than it should be on stream. I think this would be like off stream. I'd be like, I'm going to get a water and a snack. This ain't no big deal. I'm going to floss before bed. Like, let's do this. But when people are staring you down and you're trying to find the object in the room, it can be a bit nerve-wracking.
I'm literally just burned from Yabby. Every other look around and zoom in on something quest has been easy as hell, but I'm still so burned by the original Yabby Jaw quest that anytime this mechanic shows up, I get so flustered and worried that I'm going to embarrass myself in front of the stream. I miss wonderful but related Easter eggs.
Embarrassing yourself is for riddles later on.
Oh, I don't even want to hear about it. Anyway, we there's a little bit of an introductory of like where we're going and the cast of characters that we're gonna meet, because we talked to the Exarch, like you said, and he's like, yeah, I think Y'shtola might be a little mad at me. You should probably bring her a gift. I heard she likes ancient tablets, so I know the location of one that she would enjoy. You should go there. So we go to this place that used to be an old place of worship for what I internalized as a cult named Knights Blessed. Which, if I internalize them as a cult, then we have good cult, bad cult going on here, Kyle, in this.
There's a lot of cults.
In this story. By the end of it, it feels disingenuous to call them a cult. They seem to me much more like a extremely well-adjusted community that just happens to, exhibit some cult-adjacent behavior.
I mean, at the end of the world, isn't everyone in a cult? Does it really matter?
I mean, the only difference between religion and a cult is tax exemption. So
yeah, and size. So in that case, I guess Yulmore wouldn't be a cult. That's a religion.
We're gonna have to kill God. My whole take. By the way, scooping myself at the end of this video. We're gonna have to kill God.
It's anime, man. That's how it goes.
It's what we're gonna have to do. But we get briefed by Urianger going in that Y'shtola currently goes by Master Matoya.
And don't mess it up.
Yes. I forget the exact lore here. Isn't it that it's part of the culture that you don't use your real name?
Yeah, you kind of give up your name, which classic cult thing to do.
Yeah, there's also a lot of that in magic, but that's not what they're getting into here. There's things in some magic lore where it's like your real name said the way you say it has a lot of power, but we're not getting into that in Final Fantasy XIV as much as I may like the Dresden Files.
Yeah, the Dresden Files look good.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Good Fey folk in the Dresden Files.
Good, very good Fey folk. Shout out Toot Toot. We get to the Rak'tika Greatwood, and immediately I am not paying attention to my surroundings. I am just paying attention to the fact that Emmett wants to hang out and wants us to go forth so that he may observe, because Emmett Selk prefers to watch.
I love that he is overcome with evil for a hot moment, can't give up his warring ways and makes himself a nice speech of it. What a fabulous character.
He may legitimately, at this moment right now, I'm realizing, I think Emmett might legitimately be my favorite thing about Final Fantasy so far.
That's fair.
I like a villain, man. I like a villain. I may have done an ode to my favorite villain recently.
If you've brought your ivory standard, I'll be happy to tell you where to stick it.
And he gets so much better during this portion.
Well, he balances out Varys's stiffness. The two could be just copies of each other, the same character twice over.
I think Varys is my second least favorite villain we've come across so far.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to like him, and he's supposed to be stiff. So yes. I think he does his job.
Yes, but you like Cyclops, so I would expect Varys to be your favorite villain.
No, he's more... I only like Cyclops because the rest of the X-Men are a mess, and the only reason they make it in the ship on time is because Daddy Cyclops gets everybody dressed. We head into the Rak'tika Greatwood. We come across an old fort. Perhaps the very fort that was destroyed in the Shadowbringers opening cinematic. And we can assume from afar that Y'shtola sees a Sin Eater and commands the Knights Blessed to surround the enemy.
And then it turns out to be us that she thought was a Sin Eater.
Oh, I wonder what she saw when she looked at Emmett, because he was there briefly before he pieced out in one of his greatest moments.
You've committed the cardinal sin of boring me, and so I retire to the shade. Good luck.
That's a good question.
What would he look like in Y'shtola wizard eyes?
Are they just beings of ether as well?
I mean, they're definitely in the PowerPoint presentation.
Would they look any different?
Would they be more purple? Is it colored?
Now then, what color was her soul again?
Clearly she can tell the difference between ether and
well, are Makote already colorblind to begin with? Because they're cats.
That's dogs, right? Are cats colorblind? I don't think
Are cats colorblind? They do not see colors like red, orange, or brown.
Oh.
So that would be making perceiving purple rather difficult.
Okay. Finally, the Warrior of Light's starting to catch on to what we've been thinking about. That this absorbing of light isn't healthy. And there must be something else going on.
Yeah, and this gets expanded upon in greater detail later. But it kind of tees up Y'shtola's relationship with us throughout Rak'tika Greatwood. Right off the bat. Because she's concerned. And I'm concerned. I was already concerned before Y'shtola told me I should be. But that's just me, Kyle. What do I know? I don't understand head pats.
We meet the Knights Blessed. We go into their home. We make soup.
We meet Runar.
Runar is a cool guy.
Runar is a bro.
Yeah, he is.
Runar is an absolute bro.
Mm-hmm. I want to ship him. But we'll see what happens.
Who are
in the future.
you? Are you shipping a love triangle with Y'shtola? Is that what's going on?
What? Wait, is the other triangle you?
No. You mentioned the Exarch at the beginning of the episode.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the Exarch has a casual crush that he knows will never work out. Runar's put in the work.
I'm flattered, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just making room for you, buddy. But we water their plants, we make a stew, we become very involved in their funeral rites as we learn more about the Ninth Blast. Like, this is a speed running of their lore. Welcome home. Here's everything we care about.
All makes a lot of sense, too. Like, because of the world that they live in and the reality that they inhabit, that they would end up worshiping the idea of night. But when we get to that funeral scene, we find out, like, how deep it goes. They actually worship the quote-unquote warrior of darkness. And we, the warrior of light darkness, the artist formerly known as the warrior of light, are standing there with our mouth closed. We don't want that attention.
We have to bring back the dark. If we don't, who will?
And then we I would say we quickly get to adventure, but it's like multiple adventures from this point on. Because Y'shtola wants to start deciphering the tablet, but she can't because it's a really old language, and there is apparently a stone monument with slightly more modern version of that lost language that will help Y'shtola decipher the tablet. But it's also that monument is in a cave where Bad Cult, Children of the Everlasting Dark, call home. So we need to shake up a bunch of spiders, make them angry to cause a diversion.
For the bees! We gotta get some bees!
It was bees. Yeah, that's right. It was bees.
Yeah, we gotta get some bees. We did briefly see Minfilia hold her own, which was kind of nice. But yes, let's head down the road towards our Indiana Jones adventure. Our ever-looming temples in the distance. All this cult stuff, I have to assume, is going to come back together later. Maybe we're building our army and Yulemore's building its army. The Children of the Everlasting Dark swear allegiance to Yulemore. But it doesn't really come into play much here. So I assume this is all down the road. Later on. They'll become more important.
It comes into play, and I didn't realize until I started revisiting our footage. From the moment they start talking about the children, which I'm just going to refer to them as the children from now on, like we meet that scout in the wood, and he's like, no, I haven't seen anything weird. They're doing their normal creepy shit of collecting poison. That's a massive setup from the first opening, like, few quests of Rak'tika Greatwood, that they are going to join the Yulmorans and poison everyone we like.
You're right. That is such good foreshadowing. I didn't even put it together, but I didn't bat an eye when poison happened later on.
It's done really nonchalantly. Like,
yeah.
Cut scenes, even like minor cut scenes in Final Fantasy XIV can look really great. And this one is extremely boilerplate. It's just like, well, we're going to dolly in on this random dude you haven't met yet, and you don't even know if you should care about him yet. And he even talks about the poison as if it's not a big deal. It's so normal for the Children of the Everlasting Dark to go collect poison that, like...
They just love poison.
Exactly. They're just big poison fans.
Yeah,
they got a poison collection.
Yeah, I'm a big poison fan in Slay the Spire. You know, it's a casual thing.
Y'shtola deciphers the tablets. It points her towards ruins of import that require more Indiana Jonesery. But before we go off on that, we are privy to a scene between Y'shtola and Oriange. I don't know if it's arguing, because Oriange isn't really putting up a fight. It's more Y'shtola. To me, I'm internalizing this as being distrusting of Oriange.
I can think of nothing more frustrating than having an argument with Oriange, because you know he would just maintain that level through the whole thing. You couldn't work him up, and that just works you up more.
Yes. Yes.
We find out later that they're talking about telling us about the Light Warden situation and us absorbing that. At this point, I thought there might be more, like this might tie into the magic poster, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
We don't really have an answer for this. Y'shtola even kind of trails off. There's a quote here where she says,
"The 8th umbral calamity and all that followed, everything you claim to have seen. Did you?"
And it's not an ellipses on did you. It didn't get cut off, because it almost sounds like it gets cut off, because we immediately cut to one of the members of the Blessed running in and yelling about, I think, the Yulmorans. But if you look at how it's written, it is a question mark. So it's full stop. So is she asking him, did you actually see this? Or are you... So because of that, my brain goes, wait, is she accusing him of telling us bullshit to motivate us?
Yes, I think Oriange massively simplifies his information. Maybe from like an elitist point of view, like, they won't get it. I think it's more that he just wants to protect everyone around him with his gigabrain.
Or it was true from a certain point of view.
Exactly. Could be that. He did that whole thing with the Warriors of Darkness. He's been in contact with Elidibus. It's fine not to trust him. He thinks he's doing it for the betterment of everybody, but he's still up to something.
Oriange, I know full well, after all these years, that you have only the best of intentions. But that does not make it any easier to put my faith in a man so infatuated with secrecy.
We need to get out to Ixmaya at this point and continue on. We go to Sunken Ruins, which then point us to Ixmaya. But in terms of the greater development, the bigger point here is we meet the Bun Village. We meet the Fano.
The bunny village full of ancient bunnies. Because they live to be like 800 or something mad.
I got mad like Galadriel and the Wood Elves from Fellowship of the Ring vibes from all of this.
The arches. Yeah, the arches are there. It's very up in the trees. Not quite like Song of Trees and worked into the trees. But it's that type. And it's a great little city like this.
Yeah, and I think they effectively sell the vibe that like this, they would absolutely murder you if you gave them cause.
Yeah. They don't care.
Yeah.
Why would they?
We buddy up with the bunnies pretty quickly and set off on a proper Indiana Jones-ass adventure. I loved this bit.
It was really solid. I mean, you can imagine on expansion release, all this is pretty busy, so you get to do, well, the riddle that we misunderstood, frankly. I thought it was going to be per sentence, per statue, but it ended up being a whole statement for the one puzzle button.
Me too. We played through together. We were on stream. You can go back and see us be absolute idiots.
And if anything, we took it too seriously. I don't think it's a bad thing. We were invested. We just went a little deep. But we get in the temple. We do the owl business, which was a really cute little quest. Like, all this is just some solid gameplay before you go into a duty, which is awesome. A great tile set. You got the big stone sentries walking around. Y'shtola does some magic for you. You got rolling balls, big honking boulders.
I love it. It's really well accomplished too. Like, it's the kind of thing again where I'm like, oh, it just kind of feels like a video game sometimes. Yeah. Like it's
worth saying.
Yes, it is. It's something we talked more about when we first started doing Final Fantasy videos on the channel, but I haven't brought it up in a while. But yeah, once that boulder spawned and I'm like looking behind me like I'm playing Uncharted or all the way back to like Crash Bandicoot, I'm like, oh, I'm just getting to play a game here. You hide in the crevice and you do the thing with the stuff. The moving around earlier with the owl statues reminded me of Zelda as much as it reminded me of Indiana Jones. Like, it's just nice. It's easy to forget sometimes playing Final Fantasy because you spend a lot of time in cutscenes, which I don't mind, but there's some really nice moments of gameplay in Shadowbringers.
MMOs are always just going to be a little stiff because you have to coordinate people on servers and time that out. So anytime they push that envelope and come up with a creative way to quest, I'm excited for it.
Well, General Ranjit pushed his way into the temple.
He did.
And then the floor pushed its way into a crevice?
Wait, why did the floor collapse?
General, hold on!
Oh,
and it's an old ancient temple. And so like once we opened the flow again, the shit started hitting the fan.
That's right, because Y'shtola had cheating eyes as well, because she could see through the walls to see all the piping, as it were.
Well, in the same time we're doing that, Y'shtola's, doing her big shield again, as if against Ranjit this time. It's just hands and feet. At least it's not a Xeno sword. So there are a lot of things going on simultaneously, and we're in ruins, and they've already been invoking Indiana Jones, so of course that floor is going to fall out.
Yeah, let it go.
I was thinking more Jehovah starts with an I.
But that part too, yeah, when you're walking on the little letters. That's
My favorite part.
Solid.
My favorite part of any Indiana Jones. I was obsessed with it as a kid.
Second in command realizes he's in peril, wants to make a deal for the antidote. The antidote. The poison you just drank. Indiana Jones, man, let's do it. Even if it's Temple of Doom, let's do it. But he gets Sparta kicked into the hole by Ranjit, who is having none of it. He's not having any of it from his friends, his allies, his enemies.
We do not negotiate with the enemy.
I don't think he's risen to the power that he is at by suffering fools, Kyle.
He does not suffer fools gladly, as they say.
General?
But then, to go save the antidote, Y'shtola leaps into the hole, throws the antidote back at us in wonderful slow-mo. General Ranjit also falls down the hole in beautifully epic fashion because Thancred shows up and is awesome as opposed to complicated.
Well, Thancred's always awesome when he fights. He's always complicated when he talks. That's the divide.
I disagree. Sometimes
No.
he's just stoked about his swimming abilities.
I've got a bone to pick. Outside my other bones presented in our previous video, I have this other bone to pick with Thancred, who keeps being like, I'm no etherologist, and then says like the densest pile of magic lore you've ever heard.
He has magic envy because he doesn't have it anymore.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe true. Maybe true.
I'm just saying he's
magic envy.
compensating.
Yeah.
He's compensating.
Well, he's doing a great job compensating. All his fight scenes are great.
He went from small daggers to an oversized gunblade. That's all I'm saying.
Gun blades are compensating. Literally a gun and a sword.
I'll break it down for you here, Kyle. I have very specific questions in rapid order. Is second in command dead?
Yeah.
Is Ranjit dead?
No.
And did you think Y'shtola was dead?
Goodness, no.
Yeah, me neither.
That was, that was the time I disagreed with my Warrior of Light the most. Watching him react and be all sad about it. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, I wasn't even really reading into the windy wind part yet. It was just that we just got her back. Like, Y'shtola is the punching bag of this game. Like, I thought maybe she might get more messed up, maybe lose another sense or something, but really, come on. Get Y'shtola after not being in Stormblood for that whole time? No, everyone's overreacting.
I was the dude who left Infinity War not even, like, mildly annoyed. I was like, they're just going to bring everyone back. Everyone else, like, it's opening night, lobby, everyone's sad. Everyone's talking about, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. And I'm just like, what a shit cliffhanger. Like, this stuff never works for me. I'm always like, all right, especially if it is a cliffhanger in that case. So here in the game, we get to keep moving, which I got to immediately see what I want to see when this stuff happens, which is how does this impact the characters? It doesn't matter if I believe it. It matters if the characters believe it and how they choose to affect the characters as a result. And luckily, we could just keep playing. Because normally, this kind of stuff, ooh, it irritates me. But I thought it was perfectly fine here. I really like how it evolves our characters. Most of the Scions, we get sad.
Runar really works to sell this.
Runar, oh yeah. It's
Runar is hamming it up.
I think we really needed Runar. But on top of the fact that, like, if you're like you and me and you're absolute heartless bastards that just can't get into the moment because you've seen too many things ever. On top of that, so Runar helps with that if you're not buying Y'shtola's death, because Runar's new, hasn't seen Y'shtola almost die to Xenos in the past.
Honestly, it's a little surprising he didn't die, because this game loves to be like, hey, cool, interesting character, right? Bang! They're dead.
He had strong Moon Brita vibes. Yeah, it's like, oh, this guy is so cool. I bet he's going to die immediately. Yeah.
And Scion's got some plot armor right now, particularly with Shadowhunter coming back. Estinian surviving his ordeal. There's stuff going on. By the way, there have been awesome scenes with Estinian and Shadowhunter throughout this whole thing. We'll just like do those in one massive video, because that might be a better video game. that might be the A plot, and we're the B plot.
I would play that game. I would make a single player Final Fantasy XIV spinoff that is just about Gaius and Estinian having a buddy cop adventure.
Yep, action RPG. I don't know if I want top-down, third person, but let's go.
Pretty sure that would be bad cop, by the way.
I'm fine with that.
I don't think either of them are the good cop in that scenario.
No.
Anyways, I absolutely love Emmett at the end of this. This is the most interesting he has ever been, but it's also the most time we've ever spent. Emmett has been a very light garnish up until this point. But when the Fano bring him in and he gets that look on his face, just there's something about the way they modeled his face when he hears what happened to Y'shtola. We've never seen this look on Emmett's face before. They've never modeled his face in this way. They've never put his eyelids in that position. He's going to save her. Like, it hit me before he even suggested it. And then it was just one of those beautiful moments where you see where it's going and it immediately goes there and it doesn't linger and it doesn't beat around the freaking plot bush. And suddenly Emmett's our buddy. I'm getting ahead of myself, but he's so what I'm looking for here.
Stylish?
No.
Powerful?
Nope. All of these are very true.
Groovy? Old?
He is so sympathetic by the end of Rak'tika Greatwood. You're like, oh, he isn't all bad. He's not Varys. He's not. Elidibus actually kind of had a Shades of Grey thing going on until he decided to just go do his best Xenos cosplay. But Emmett's got layers.
He does. I mean, he's still star screaming in my book.
Yeah.
He's still moving over to the other side for convenience.
Yeah, and as much as he may not feel like a villain to me at the end of this, a lot of people in our chat still saw him as an absolute mega villain as soon as he snapped and put the clothes back on.
I love fates worse than death. And this death would have been cheap if it had happened here. It might have had weight, particularly if it, spurred on the storyline of Thancred and got him to kind of wake up a little bit. If it changed Urianger, if it worked within the science, it could be done all right. But I love that she was in the live stream, which means she might be horribly maimed. And Emmett has the power to say, no, snap, she's out. Like, completely destroy any power the Seed Seeder might have had in her action. Completely overlap that, overshadow the power of any wizard or mage we've met in this world. And now Y'shtola's indebted to him? Like, we're all kind of indebted to him.
In a way, yeah. And also, just as a character beat, I love how Y'shtola responds to all of this. She's just like, hey, despite our differences, thanks. And then right back to work. Like, I love the get shit done, move forward attitude of Y'shtola. I think it's why I like her so much. And I think it also aligns a little bit with my brain and the pace of the story, because anytime Y'shtola around, it's just like, let's go. Let's get to it. Or Urianger likes to marinade.
Yeah, I mean, they maintain her character pretty well here with her laugh, and
I did something exceedingly reckless, for which you will just have to forgive me.
Yeah, you're gonna do it again, aren't you? You're just gonna keep being reckless. It's your character. It's fine. We love you. Keep doing it. It's fine. But let's not get into more debt with Emmett, shall we?
But this brings us to the Katana Ravel and the whole reason we were questing through in the first place, which is to kill the Light Warden. The way is open now because of our adventures through the pyramid. We have a boss battle with cave paintings that you and I immediately noted.
I mean, they're right there. Cave paintings have been very important throughout this chapter when we were, not looking at Y'shtola's butt as the chat demanded of us. Some really cool bosses in here. This is going to rank high on the wall of dungeons when we get there.
I've already run it again, and I liked it just as much the second time. To the surprise of no one, we defeat the Light Warden. We absorb the light yet again. And that's not what's most interesting here. Just when you think, okay, I've seen enough Light Warden deaths. What do you have to show me, game? And game goes, hold my beer.
Yeah, they do not linger on those cave paintings. They get right to it. Emmett walks in the room. He's like, can we get out of here? Y'all are wasting my time.
Fighting fit, I see. Keep up the good work.
Oh, wait a second. I'm going to go on a bit of a nostalgia trip. Hang on.
Yeah. It explains everything we see in the paintings, and if this is to be believed, which I think it is, Zodiark and Hydaelyn are primals.
Yeah, why would he lie?
Yeah, Ascians were like the original people. They were the first to conjure, at least Zodiark, like said very specifically, he says, we summon Zodiark. Some sort of crisis befell the original civilization back when the world was one. They, Ascians, prayed and, quote, the will of the star was made manifest. They summoned Zodiark like a freaking primal, and then Zodiark stopped whatever the crisis was.
Seems that way. Man, I'm getting some mad black and white vibes from this. I love that video game. I miss black and white. It brings several questions to mind, such as, is painting one a picture of everybody joined? Are Ascians the quote-unquote like perfect beings that Varys is looking to be? Or would we become Ascians? Have Ascians maintained their unsplit status?
Were they all Ascians is my question, because as to the summoning of Hydaelyn,
From the fears of these naysayers would rise Hydaelyn.
Emmett just says naysayers led to that. Like, was it only Ascians? Because of the Varys' understanding of the rejoining, going back to Stormblood and saying we'll all be one race, it makes me think, well, if we're all one race, and they were all one race back then, and they were Ascians, everyone's an Ascian. So were there Ascians that weren't into what Zodiark did? Why weren't they into it? Why did they go to worshiping the light? Why did they pray and eventually summon Hydaelyn? These are the questions I have.
And they battled.
And so they fought, and they fought, and they fought, and in the end, Hydaelyn was victorious.
I can see the many drawings that the studio would have gone through deciding how to depict a battle. I'm not sure hop on pop was the right answer, but it did communicate what they were going for.
I thought it was perfectly fine. It's a perfect. I don't understand why. A lot of people in chat were like really hung up on it.
Slam!
Yeah. Anyway, apparently, yeah, they fought for a long time. Emmett made it sound like, and apparently, when Hydaelyn eventually won, she split reality.
With all her strength, she smote him, dealing a blow so devastating that it split the very fabric of reality. And thus was Zodiark banished and his being divided.
And banished and divided Zodiark's being.
Classic way, divide the pieces, don't let them rejoin. So she caused this whole mess to happen with the shards? So in order to defeat Zodiark, we got to kill Hydaelyn? Or I think we're killing Hydaelyn no matter what. Hydaelyn bad.
Both primals. Primals gotta die. It's
that's our
what
job.
we do. And Emmett immediately launches into...
Though I imagine your mother would offer a rather contradictory account, as is her wont.
Which I think we're going to hear the story again. I think we're heading towards a classic Rashomon effect, Kyle.
A what?
It's like a classic storytelling device, which is from Kurosawa's movie Rashomon, where it's the same story told from multiple different perspectives, and at least in the movie, it really focuses on how everyone thinks they're telling the truth, but it's their own personal. The way everything affected them makes them believe their version of it is true, and they don't see the holes in their own understanding. A more modern rendition of it was actually in The Last Jedi. We hear the story of Luke going after Kylo from 3 different perspectives. That's a Rashomon style element.
Interesting. I wonder, it puts to mind if maybe while Emmett's trying to get all our Light Warden juices for Zodiark, Hydaelyn's gonna message us and be like, hey, can I have those? After all, she absorbed like Minfilia for the sweet etherness. Does she want what we're cooking?
Is that why she gave us her blessing in the first place?
Maybe.
Are we a pawn in Hydaelyn's game?
Obviously, because we would be if she is a primal, we're enthralled. That's why we can't be enthralled again. Like, we have more free will, perhaps, than just, Ifrit, and doing that whole thing. But we're avoiding enthrallment because we're already enthralled. Signature's already on us.
It's a lot. But leaving this knowing that Zodiark and Hydaelyn are primals, and not just that, but the eldest and the most powerful, it's a bomb drop. It's a bomb drop.
I like it. Let's kill God. Let's do it.
And Ascians want the rejoining because they miss their home and their people. Like, as smug as Emmett is, he feels very human in this scene.
Now, do you see why we yearn for the great rejoining? For our world, for our people, for all creation to be made whole again. Wouldn't you wish for the same?